So in this video, you'll see how to set up your Maxo pump for a 4 to 20 milliamp external signal to control the speed of the pump. Okay, so these are the three options that you have on the screen when you first power up the pump. Start with factory settings. We discussed that before. Start venting, and first settings so these are the three options that you have. Start with factory settings, as we discussed in a different video. It gets you to dynamic adapt plus mode. So that's what you use when you don't know your duty point, your system duty point. So the pump will figure it out for you. So let's go set up the pump for a 4 to 20 milliamp external signal. First, settings. So you select your country where the pump is installed, language, and all that kind of stuff. Units, if you want to see gallons per minute or you want to see liters per second. Okay, so settings assistant. Under settings assistant menu, we'll pretend this is a heating application. You'll go to basic control modes, speed, because we want to control the speed of this pump. Okay, set point speed. In case you want to use the internal set point of this pump, so for example, if in this case you want to run the pump at 2000 RPM all the time, RPMs at all the time, then this is where you set that up. But for the 4 to 20 milliamp signal, press the context button, select set point of external source. I've used analog input 2. Now we have to configure analog input 2. We have to tell the analog input 2 if is to expect a 0 to 10 volt signal or a 4 to 20 milliamp signal or whatever the signal type is. So in this case, you have to configure analog input 2. So this is a set point controller. We're not wiring a differential pressure sensor or temperature sensor. So in this case, set point controller, type of signal that I'm using, 4 to 20 milliamps. Here's where you can define your own settings. So for example, if you want the pump to do minimum speed at 4 milliamps and do 20 maximum speed at 20 milliamps, and then turn off, for example, at 3 milliamps, you can do that. I use the specifications that we have already, so the settings, so the pump settings that we already have. Okay, next item in the menu, substitute set point in the event of a cable break. So in the case you lose the signal for whatever reason, a wire is loose or your signal is out of range, you send a signal that is higher than 20 milliamps or it's lower than 4 milliamps, for example. How do you want the pump to interpret that? So in this case, if you lose the signal, for example, let's say that the pump should be running at 1000 RPMs. Okay. That's it. So the pump is set up now for a 4 to 20 milliamp signal. A warning showed up on the pump display since I'm sending no signal right now to the pump. So it detects this it reads this as a cable break. As soon as I start sending a signal, the warning should go away. There we go. So I'm sending 4 milliamps now to the pump. The pump is off, so the pump will turn off at 5 milliamps, and it will go into minimum speed at 6 milliamps, and it will go to maximum speed at 20 milliamps. So as the value of my signal goes up, okay, so now I'm at 6.6 milliamps, so I go up in speed. Okay, so as I increase the value of the signal, so does the pump speed. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. So if we go back with the signal strength, so I'll be going at 6 milliamps, so the pump should do minimum speed. Okay, so the pump is doing now minimum speed. At 5 milliamps, the pump should turn off. Perfect. So if my signal goes down below 4 milliamps, it should read this as a cable break. Voila. So the pump now went into its emergency speed mode of 1000 RPM. That's what I told it to do. So if you lose the signal, go to 1000 RPMs. So the pump is set for a 4 to 20 milliamp signal.